Peyton. Nice to hear you again on this beautiful day. And this time we have a quote by Albert Ellis, the psychologist, um, who said, "You never truly need what you want. That is the main and thoroughgoing key to serenity." Wow, you never truly need what you want. That is a big claim. What do you think about this big claim, Peyton?
I think it's a helpful reminder, honestly. The function that determines our satisfaction in our experience often has a lot to do with the gap between what we have and what we want. And obviously, the way that we normally go about solving that is trying to go get the things that we want and spend a lot of energy and time to go get the things we want and preoccupy ourselves with the things that we want. And we're always going to do this, obviously, to an extent. But this quote is pointing us toward the possibility of kind of a unilateral surrender from our side and just saying that, okay, we actually can give up the war of craving the things that we crave, of feeling the need, this thirst for the objects of our desire, and instead recognizing that this moment already is enough before I go out there into the world and obtain this new thing. And this gap between what we have and what we want, of course, can be satisfied if we had a magic wand and could wave it to get all we want. But in the meantime, maybe we can be a little less rigid and attached to the things that we want and recognize that, yeah, we actually don't need anything to be different to be enough or to be content. How do you experience this gap and the possibility of loosening our grip on this implicit assumption in our mind that we really need the things that we think that we want?
Well, it's beautifully put that it's a gap between what we have and what we want. We desire for more, and then it leads us into a circle of wanting even more and wanting even more. And it was a topic actually also in the 10-day retreat where there was this image symbolizing where this endless cycle of the suffering comes from. It's actually from wanting more and more and more and more.
Hmm.
It's as if we would be like people with a big belly, with very hungry people with big bellies, but only a very small mouth. Because we cannot fulfill our desire through wanting more, because it's like a really thin desire most often. It's like, oh, I want to go and have another coffee, and I want to have another beer, and I want to have another cigarette or whatever. And the more we do it, actually, the more we get stuck into this spiral of wanting more of it, and that also may lead to addiction. So it is actually very wise and a very wise reminder of Albert Ellis, where he said, "You never truly need what you want." Um, it's often true. Satisfaction is optional, so we can be satisfied if we would be more grateful for what we already have. And what does that mean? It means wanting what we already have, and then waking up to the moment again and seeing that we have what we have and that we want what we have, and then this loop gets fulfilled. So we don't crave for more, we don't spiral out, but we circle around. So it is what happens within us, with which is important um, in recognizing that we have the key to our own satisfaction, and we hold the key to serenity as well. What do you think acceptance has to do with it? And when negative feelings arise, is it because of what happened, or because of how we interpret what happened?
You read my mind on this one. It reminds me of the Zen quote that man went in search of fire with a lighted lamp, if he had known what fire was, he could have cooked his rice much sooner. And this is something that our culture is constantly conditioning us in the opposite. Almost nobody tells you that this is the way that our minds work. This is the way that the path to, or the potential of real satisfaction and real experiential wholeness works. It's something that's almost hidden from us and then constantly conditioned otherwise. But the truth is that fullness, wholeness, true contentment will never be found from the outside. We'll never actually go and get the thing we want, have it in hand, and then find that because we got this external thing, we always feel like we have enough. If we look for it on the outside, we're drinking salt water. Because once we get the thing that we want, we will maybe be happy and satisfied upon first receipt of the object of our desire. If it's something that we really wanted for a long time, if we really want to own a house and it's a 5-year goal and we work hard and we get a promotion and we save up and we build our credit and we hire a realtor and we go house shopping and we find the one that we like and we get the offer, we place the offer, we make it through inspections, yada yada, get to the end, you get in the house, and you're like, yes, I finally own a house. I moved in, thank goodness. Now you look at the kitchen and you're like, oh man, I want a new fridge. And now you look at the wall and you're like, oh, I got to repair that drywall. And in this, it almost we almost never hold this to account. Actually, when we want the next thing, we don't look back and ask ourselves, well, why do I want a next thing? I thought I would be happy when I got this house, and now I want a kitchen remodel, and now I want a hammock for the backyard, and now I want a new
So
car.
true.
And the the craving is not satisfied. Ultimately, we get this one little thing, we chase this carrot, we get this carrot, and before it even digests, we're already looking at the next carrot that we want to chase. And desire is fundamentally a contract that we make with ourselves to be unhappy until we get what we want. This quote is accurate. And same with desire is the root of dukkha, which is sometimes translated as suffering, but another way to think of the word dukkha is unsatisfactoriness. And that I think is something we can all relate to. Whenever we're craving something, whenever we're wanting and desiring something that we don't yet have, we are actively participating in being unsatisfied. And we can orient ourselves, we can have intentions, we can move through the world, we can even pursue goals without our mind necessarily being in the state of being unsatisfied. So this is something that I think is key and perhaps often overlooked, is that we don't ultimately need the constant experiential basking in the deficit of all that is lacking in our life and the negative emotion and unsatisfactoriness that we experience alongside of that, in order to actually put our bodies in motion, put our minds in motion, and pursue goals and do things with intentions and manifest the things that we believe are best for us and those around us, and the causes and movements that we care about. And this I think is the prize for us to strive for, the balance that we can orient ourselves toward. Much easier said than done, but can we radically accept this moment, this now, my reality, right as it is, with everything I have and nothing that I don't, and still keep my body in motion, keep my mind at use, keep the things going, and keep the intentions, and put things in the right order, in the right motion to the best of our ability, while along the way we recognize that right now there is nothing lacking, that actually my satisfaction is never going to be found from these things that I'm pursuing. My satisfaction, my peace, my wholeness, my love, and my connection, they're not going to ultimately be found outside. They're not ultimately going to be accomplished or achieved or held in my hand because I went and pursued some goal and succeeded in it. Rather, true wholeness, true satisfaction, fulfillment, peace, contentment, these things are meant to come from within. And the actual satisfaction of the search can only happen when we first unilaterally surrender to reality and actually connect with this moment as it is, connect with reality as it is. Give up the constant thirsting after what isn't, and instead accept and embrace this moment, this truth that is right here before us. This is the fulfillment of the search, or at least the dancing, dynamic, momentary fulfillment of the search. How do you think about actually experiencing wholeness now, experiencing having all that we want by changing our relationship with our reality and seeking it from within?
Beautiful. It's about accepting what we have right here, right now, but also taking ownership of what is within our control. And it's about enjoying the process of what is already there. So we strive for things, and then we have a goal, we reach that goal, and then we instantly strive for new stuff. So it's best to learn how to enjoy the process. The same goes for what we desire, what we want. Recognizing that it is like most likely an internal state which ebbs and flows and shifts with tides of whatever mental states we are in, and changes like waves. And if we recognize this fact that everything changes every time, then we might as well just sit still and watch it, and like you said, connect with this moment like it is, with reality as we experience it, at least with our subjective experience of it. And the more we do that, we find that we learn more and more about what really is there. We learn more and more that this, what we wanted 1 minute ago, changed if we watch it and don't act upon it. It changes, and also our internal state changes. And therefore, we don't need it anymore, because our wanting also disappeared or changed to something else. So this reminds me of what Tony Robbins talks about state, story, strategy. If we find ourselves in a loop of desire or wanting stuff we don't really need, then we have the tools in our hand to work with it, change our internal state, because everything we do comes out of this inner pressure, this internal state which triggers some association of another state if we act upon this trigger to change our internal state. If you want to drink a beer on the beach, then it's like to change our internal state to a feeling of being more relaxed, and the association of smiling, happy people on the beach and so on, which also was influenced by marketing departments and so on. But it's about changing our internal state. Every behavior is about that, in my opinion. And if you recognize that, we might as well just first change our internal state forcefully with, like, if we're sitting, we can stand up. If we didn't move for a while, we can do a push-up or a pull-up or a little walk or a run or a sprint. Or if we didn't smile in a long time, we just can put a smile on, and that changes our state at least a little bit. And with that change of state, if we are more activated, if we take a walk, then our stories change as well. If we are in a bad mood, sitting all day long with a bad face, then we don't tell ourselves the brightest stories, like walking with grey filters or sunglasses in the brightest day. But if we put on or take off the grey filter, then we tell ourselves more colorful stories, which leads also to better strategies, and with that to better actions we take in life. So accept what is there, connect and embrace the moment, but take full ownership of what is there and change it according to the process you want to engage in. But also don't
Mm.
be attached to the outcome. It's also about not minding the outcome, but doing the best and doing stuff to the best of your abilities, which lead to you holding the keys to serenity. So,
Yes.
not minding what happens, Peyton. Uh, what comes to mind?
Changing your internal state and looking at it as, do I really want XYZ thing out there, or do I really want to feel better? And then upon seeing that, oh, actually, a lot of these things that we are pursuing, we think we are pursuing, or we almost assume that we're pursuing for themselves. Ultimately, if we inspect it, we want to feel a different way. We see many things as a means to an end in one way or another. And looking at it on the level of internal state and claiming the agency to do something of our over our internal state rather than just complaining to ourselves and others about what we don't have that we want or what we don't want that we must have. This vastly increases the agency that we have over how we feel, and then from there can flow a radical acceptance of reality that ironically enables us to flow through things much more effectively. The next frontier of this, though, so it's one thing to say that, okay, I can learn to be content before I get this next thing. I do see how I can radically accept that this object of my desire out there, it's not really lacking right now. If I pay attention to this moment, I can see that this moment is whole and complete. I don't need something out there to feel fine. All the ingredients of contentment and fulfillment are already fully available to me in this moment if I just claim them. However, the next level, at least for me, that can be really difficult, even if I can accept the things that I don't have that I might want, even if I can accept that I don't have a Cybertruck or that I want, or I don't have a bunch of land in the Smokies that I want, or whatever. It's a whole other thing to accept that which I do have that I don't want, and I think this is the advanced course that I'm still trying to stumble through and learn myself and constantly losing sight of and balance with. But imagine being sick, really sick, to where it really messes up your state and your energy and you're feeling pain and there's a discouragement and many of your goals are going backwards because of this affliction that you have of the body. The difficult thing to do in that moment is to accept that as it is, because it doesn't help the recovery process to be really upset about being sick. It actually just makes you less happy while you're sick. And this is easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. I'm not good at this a lot of the time. But this is the next level of possibility. Imagine being in a situation that you feel trapped in or that you don't want to be in. This is a way that I felt a lot this past year, and feeling this two options. And the natural one is to be very resistant, to constantly be complaining to myself, to ultimately weave this story that even if I'm not using this word or admitting it to myself, weaving the story of complaining or blaming that is leading and cultivating a victim mentality of, oh, woe is me, this is so bad, this is unfair, and I'm trapped here, and I don't like this thing, and I want this thing to go away, but I'm forced to still deal with it, and this and that. This is the other side of wanting, which is obviously wanting something to be gone that we do have. And it's very, very challenging for us to accept when we have something that we really don't want, and we can't just get rid of it right now. And even with these things, whether it's a situation, whether it's a sickness, whether it's a pain that we're experiencing, physical or psychological, whatever, this is the next level of possibility. And this is the dealing with the second arrow, so to speak. The first arrow is whatever we get hit with in life. Maybe we broke our leg. The second arrow is our resistance to it and our reaction to it. So if I broke my leg, the first arrow is the physical sensations in my body in the actual things that come from that. The second arrow is me suffering because why the fuck did I do this? Why am I so dumb? I can't believe I made this mistake. This is going to set back my gym progress for months. I'm really mad about how expensive it is to solve this. Yeah, on and on and on. All the resistance that we naturally experience, that we're conditioned to experience when we have something that we don't want and that we wish was some other way. And the freedom that is available in this is back to the radical acceptance that you say. This works for things that we do want that we don't have. This also importantly applies to things that we do have that we don't want. And cultivating a radical acceptance, or another way to think of it, is aligning ourselves with the non negotiable reality, aligning ourselves and surrendering to this moment, right now, the present, and everything in it, all the ways that I feel, all the conditions of my body, the placement of every single object in the entire world, down to the atomic level, in this moment as it unfolds, as I'm encountering it right now never can be any other way. Anything that happened in the past cannot be any other way, including the things that feel unfair, including the things that we feel like somebody acted unethically toward us, including the things that were low probability, including the things that just seem wrong and seem counterproductive and seem senseless. All of those things cannot be any other way. The past and the present are totally non negotiable. And so we can either align ourselves with reality or we can try to disagree with reality and we can fight against reality. And it doesn't work. We can see and we can experiment. How does it feel when I disagree with reality and wish that this moment right now was different in many ways than how it is? And I not only intend for it to be different in the future through deliberate action, but I genuinely am upset that now is the way that it is. How does that feel when we try that on? How does that mindset manifest in our behavior toward ourselves and others? Does that actually make us more effective as a mindset? Does that actually make us happier or more fulfilled or feeling of wholeness or more experiences of love or an experience of freedom? What are the actual causes and effects of disagreeing with reality and struggling against the present that we actually are encountering? And we can find through paying attention that it divides us. It kind of cuts up our mind and separates us from the now that is already here. It separates us from the source within. And in our opportunity, therefore, is to learn to unilaterally surrender. Reality is never going to surrender to what we want, especially not in the past, especially not in the moment that's right here, right now. However, we can radically accept. We can reduce the gap between what we have in this moment and what we want in this moment through the wanting part, not through the having part, and through the radical acceptance, through the letting go and just dropping the war, at least for a minute, at least for a second, at least within our hearts, if not through our emotions that might need to continue moving. How do you think about the fulfillment of the search and any final intentions as it relates to both sides of this, the wanting part and the not wanting part?
Well, it's always about realizing what we have control over and what is out of our control. It's always about recognizing that we are enough and we might as well just accept ourselves as we are and change from there. And
Yeah.
same applies to looking at others. Like, we can just accept others as they are and then move on from there. We don't need to wish others to be different. That is a strain in many relationships because people have their imagination of other people and then they wish the other people to behave in a different way, but they are not that way. So they are rather in love with their imagination about the other person than with the person itself. So we might as well just accept others as they are. And then the harder part is accept life as it comes, like as it is. If we hurt ourselves, if we are in a bad situation, accident, whatever, it is about acceptance in terms of not resisting. Not resisting because the resistance of the moment brings extra pain, and we don't need to bring extra pain to ourselves. We can also just accept that we don't need to bring extra pain to ourselves. Oftentimes, people believe that they let others down if they accept the situation as it comes. But this is a whole nother level of accepting versus taking ownership and trying to change stuff. It doesn't mean if you accept the situation that you do not wish the situation to be a little bit different, and you do not want to try and look for the options you have. So you might as well just accept it as it is and work from there and do whatever it takes to the best of your abilities to change it. But out of an internal state of not having too much excess potential, not having too much desire for it to be different, not minding what happens, but taking ownership. This is the important distinction I recently come to see as the way of my philosophy that I want to live, actually. Not like the Buddhists say, okay, just accept whatever happens and don't do anything about it, but more like the Stoics say, okay, moderately enjoy whatever good happens, but don't take it too hard, and don't be bothered by whatever bad things happen. So this is the asymmetry I want to find. This is my intention of steering my wanting, so to say, that I can enjoy the perks, but I don't mind the bullshit. So, and with that, aligning ourselves to some life which is without unnecessary suffering, and without suffering which is self-made. This is what I strive for as well. Because there is the source of dukkha, the source of suffering or unsatisfactoriness or whatever other word there is for this word, this Pali word dukkha, which came to be mainstream thought and thinking 2,600 years ago, when the Buddha was actively teaching in the desert of India. There is something to it that the source of dukkha is our desire, our wanting things to be different, our hunger for more. And therefore the antidote to it is giving something of yourself to others, or even knowing and defining what is your enough. Do you know what is enough? Do you know what is enough food for you? It is not for fattening, it is not for beautification, it is not for intoxication, it is not for solely taking the pleasure out of it. It is for nourishing your body. It is for keeping you alive and healthy. So what is your enough when you consume and take in stuff? What is your enough when it comes to your earning potential, your freedom? What is your enough? How do you want to have your life? How do you want your life to look like? And from there on, what is your enough? So finding what is enough for me, what keeps me alive and healthy, what keeps my my being alive and so on, not only physically but also mentally, psychologically, socially. This is what I look for. What about you? Any intentions, Peyton?
I'm reminded of the quote, "Give thanks for the way things are. When you realize nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you." And the little pointer that I enjoy a lot with this is this moment enough? Is everything enough? When we look around and we look and hear and taste and feel everything, when we feel all that is, the whole of reality in this moment, can we look and feel that everything is already enough? There's nothing we need to add, there's nothing we need to change about this moment for it to be whole. And it's so easy for me to forget that. And so that is my intention for this week, is to look and recognize that in many little moments, to kind of punctuate my days and my experience with a little splash of enoughness. And I know that it is within our power to do so many times this week. I appreciate your conversation, my
Thanks.
friend.
Very
Wonderful topic
beautiful.
and very
I
relevant for me
appreciate it.
as always. I'm excited to play around with these things.
It's a very beautiful reminder to look around and see that this is already enough. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you and I appreciate our
Likewise.
conversations. And see you next week.
I appreciate you, man. I will see you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye.